when morality becomes relative, then it becomes up to you to make the judgment as to what is good or bad. Whereas on the other hand, the Christian view is that morality has a standard, and it has a moral lawgiver who is God, and and the laws that he gives, the moral law that he gives, it's unchangeable. It's an absolute.
Have you ever married people who you kind of knew this is going to be a problem?
Even for the case of, for example, infidelity, we recommend and say, if somebody has cheated on you, you found them with somebody else, and they confess their faults and they turn around and they're willing to change, find it in your heart to forgive them and try and reconcile if it is possible.
If death is gone, where does it leave belief? Hello there. My guest this week on the Long Form podcast is Hassan Kibirango. A leadership coach and men's pastor at Christian Life Assembly in Kigali, Hassan has spent nearly 2 decades mentoring leaders and helping men rediscover purpose in their work, in their homes, and in their walk with God. In this conversation, we explore marriage, modern masculinity, faith and doubt in the age of artificial intelligence, as well as making sense of the fragility of the Rwandan family. Hassan, welcome to the Long Form podcast.
Thank you, Sanny. I've been a big fan of this podcast, and to be seated in the hot seat is a privilege. Thank you. Yeah.
So you've spent your career helping people find meaning in their lives. But I want to maybe start this, before we go into that part, I want to start with getting a better understanding of you. When did you first believe? Was it a revelation, or was it a choice that you made that, you know what, I want to be a Christian?
Mm-hmm. So my belief in Christianity actually predates Christianity. So I was born and raised in a Muslim home.
I was actually going to ask you, because it's Hassan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Born and raised in a Muslim home, practiced Islam for the first 19 years of my life. And when I turned 19, there was a tragedy, so to speak. My mother got really, really ill, and she passed. And she was a Christian, but married to a Muslim man who had passed earlier. And the circumstances around her death convicted me to transition from Islam to Christianity. So it wasn't an issue of somebody preaching to me or seeing. There was just some circumstances there at the burial. Maybe to get a little bit into it is that we had some rift in the family.
Okay.
My father's side of the family, who didn't want to bury her because of her faith.
Did not want to bury her, or bury her as a Muslim?
Bury her in our family home state, because that's where she had been married. Yeah. And then eventually they relented and accepted because of the pressure of, people came in to support. But the people who managed everything were Christians that I did not know. They apparently came from my mother's small fellowship church in the village where we stayed in Kampala. And they took over everything. I mean, they set up the tents, they cooked the porridge, and that just demonstration of love from strangers vis-a-vis what I saw from my family, my father's side of the family. Of course, coupled with a few conversations I used to have with my mom prior. Says, you need to consider this, but you make the choice. Yeah. So that was it. That was the transition for me. It was quite dramatic, but and then I started to study this new way of my faith, and I noticed it had convictions about it that were really drawing in for me. Yeah. And it's been a couple of decades now, maybe 20 or so, 20 years or so now.
20. That's a lot. Quick. So you come from a mixed religion background, right?
Yeah.
So your dad was Muslim from Uganda. Your mom was Rwandan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was home like? Because very often very often you don't find that.
Yeah.
Right? So the Christians marry Christians, the Muslims marry Muslims. Very few come in that mixed denomination, I guess. what was your childhood like when your father was still alive and your mom was
Yeah.
still alive, and one would go to church, the other one would go to mosque?
Yeah, so it really comes from just my father's worldview. My father was one of those young men that was sent by the British government in Uganda just before they handed over independence in the early 60s. One of the young people that was sent to study abroad. So he went, did architecture in London, and he became a bit liberal in his views. So though he was a Muslim, uh, he married a couple of women, wives, and I think out of the 7 or 8, only 2 were Muslims. The rest were Christian. So,
You
yeah,
have 7 stepmoms.
yeah. So how was home like? My father was a very gentle, quiet man who had an incredible work ethic, and he practiced his faith, but he was not very enforcing of the faith. So I have siblings who are Christians. I have siblings who are Muslims. So that's how our unique setup is as a family. Yeah.
Now, Richard Dawkins argues in his book, a book that I personally have called The God Delusion. He argues that humans don't need God to be moral, that morality can evolve naturally. What's your response to that as a man of both faith and intellect?
Yeah. So his argument about morality having a sense of fluidity, it can be, it's a dangerous, slippery slope in my view, because when morality becomes relative, then it becomes up to you to make the judgment as to what is good or bad. Whereas, on the other hand, the Christian view is that morality has a standard, and it has a moral lawgiver who is God, and and the laws that he gives, the moral law that he gives, is it's unchangeable. It's an absolute, and in that way, people are able to live in a way that is that just doesn't change. So when he says that morality can be swayed here and there.
I mean, he doesn't say that. He just
History.
says that you don't need God to be good, fundamentally.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about, it kind of sounds like you're saying that, what, with God or with faith, that's what dictates the rules and regulations of good behavior, quote unquote, morals. But in some of the religious books and texts that we read, when you read them as a layman like myself,
Yeah.
you read certain laws or rules and you think these are not moral. When you read rules about how women should sometimes be treated, those are not moral. When you see certain rules about war and how, I sometimes I tell my Christian friends that some of the first instances of genocide are commanded by God in the Bible. When he says, go and kill everything and everyone and all the donkeys and the cows. Then how can you then say that that person or that God or that book is what we should get our moral lessons from?
Yeah. So Judeo-Christian worldview of moral law is the Ten Commandments. Okay. There was other laws that were very contextual to the nation of Israel that was, selected by God to live a certain way, and it's upon how that nation lived that it would be an example to many. When you look at the history of Israel and that particular context where God commanded for certain people to be killed, so to speak, genocide. You have to look at it in context. So many of those were like Canaanite inhabitants of that land who, for centuries, lived a grossly morally decadent lifestyle. Part of what they did was sacrificing their own children to gods, the god of Molech, for example. They would take infant babies. Infanticide was like the order of the day. And I mean, there was just, I mean, evil had escalated. That's according to scripture.
Do you actually believe that?
I read
And
it.
I mean, do you actually? I mean, we all read it.
Yeah.
But do you actually believe that those stories? Because I've always read a lot of the earlier texts as more lessons and not necessarily historical truth. Do you believe that it's like historical truth?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, it's historical truth because, you know, some of those societies still have remnants of their existence in archaeology. And so to wipe away that as events that happened becomes very, very difficult for us to have a conversation because history is a part of us. And yeah, so I do believe that that actually happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were saying something before I interrupted you.
Yeah. So we need to look at God as the moral lawgiver and the one who, first of all, he's the progenitor of life, according to my belief, and is the sustainer of life. So what you and I, in that context, will call a genocide. In that context, it was judgment, because for 400 years, those particular people had been visited by many, many people from God to tell them to change their ways, and they hadn't. And so it's like judgment, the fullness of it had come. That's what I read, that's what I believe. But in essence, is God a genocidaire? I don't believe it with any shred of my being, even though he is, you know, referred to as that in by many people.
I never said it was me. I'm just saying I'm reading.
Yeah,
and I'm using today's definitions of certain acts and
because
behavior.
there are many people who have chosen to, you know, take away anything to do with God from their lives because of what they've read, and they've come to a place of, you know, how do I put it, of conviction that I cannot follow a God like that in my right mind, because God is supposed to be inherently good, you know. But they read, it's like one-sided story that drives their conviction. But if you read the whole story in context, God is inherently good, you know. So
you think so?
That's what I believe. I choose to believe, and you see, belief is very subjective. Yeah.
So people who, let's say, so can you be an atheist but still be a moral man or woman?
You can be an atheist and a moral man, but our definition of morality or goodness, if you will, has I don't know, it has a ceiling to it, because I don't know if you believe that we are spiritual beings. I believe that we are spiritual beings, and we have, and because of that, our definition of morality is not based entirely, at least the Christian worldview is not based entirely on how our good actions are, but because of our innate relationship with our God. And our innate relationship with our God was broken because of sin. And no matter how good me and you are, is that relationship has to be broken first, and it cannot be broken by my good works. Yeah.
Where does that leave people who don't believe in your God? Because now there's obviously there are atheists, there might be agnostics, but there are also a lot of people who have faith.
Yeah.
They just don't believe what you believe. Like your dad, he was Muslim, and he believed he probably had a lot of faith and his belief system, and he would also say that my moral, or the way I conducted myself, was based off of my belief system, and that is based off of, you know, the Quran.
Yeah.
In your idea of morality, then, do I have to be a Christian within your context? Do I have to be a Christian to be a moral man, or do I just have to believe in a supreme being
To be a moral man?
Yes.
So I will speak from my worldview, which is the Christian worldview. And the Christian worldview is that none of us is good and none of us is moral. Okay? Only God is. We become moral or good, to use that terminology, when we enter a transaction that determines on God's side what morality is. Let me explain. Is that God created us. God created us to live and work and relate with Him in a certain way, but He gave us, which is an amazing gift on one hand, but also it has become what has led to our detriment as human beings. That is free will and choice. He created us to choose to relate with Him or to choose not to. We chose not to.
Why would
Okay.
we? Why would
Yeah.
he? Why would an all-knowing God choose that for us? Well, you see, if He's all-knowing,
Yes.
then He gives you free will.
Yes.
But He also knows that you will fundamentally use free will in the wrong way.
Yes.
Then why go through all of that to create us just so that we can all burn in hell?
No, He didn't create us that so we can all burn in hell. He gave us a choice and He said, you have the free will to choose to love me. But even when you falter, there's a way to get back to this relationship. And in my Christian belief, that way is through the work of Jesus Christ, which is atonement. And the idea of atonement is not necessarily a fundamentally only Christian view. You find it in most world religions and most spiritual transactions where
atonement.
Yes. Yeah. So God made that way for us to find a way back to Him. But he did not create us as robots. He created us with the ability to love and choose to love. I would ask Him that question when I meet Him, as in, why did you create me with the choice to either accept you or reject you? But in my own study, my convictions, the journey of faith, and again, looking at different faiths, I find that line is consistent with many faiths, even spirituality in general. I mean, take a guy in Amazon who has never gotten in touch with modern religion, if you will. There's an innate thing in there where they believe in that when you mess up, something has to die in your place, if not you, so that you can be rejoined with the deity or spirituality. So the idea of atonement is one that God gives, and we have to choose it if we want to, and reject it if we want to. So is that idea disturbing to you?
No, not at all. I mean,
I know it is to many people. So yeah.
I mean, it's a bit weird. I mean, I was like, you're talking, and I'm thinking, I'm a father of two boys, and I want them to do well in life.
Yes.
But what I'll try to do is sometimes I will not. If one of my sons likes eating chocolate, and I know there is eating too much chocolate is not good for him. It will stunt him. And on the other side, there's spinach that he's supposed to be eating.
Yeah.
What I'll do as a good father is I won't put both of them there and say, my darling son, you have free will. Because the free will, he will go for the chocolate every single time.
Yeah.
Chocolate is nice. Being a moral man, being a godly man is hard. It's like spinach, right? It's good for you.
Yeah.
But it's not tasty. Of course,
chocolate, on the other hand,
is tasty. Maybe not so good for you, but it's tasty. Why would this God, who, yes, He's given us a path through it, atonement and all that. Why
for a
would
choice that we made, by the way.
Yes, but then
for a mess up that we.
No,
yes.
Listen. I don't also call it a mess that we made, because He, according to the book, we ate the apple, but He put them there.
Yeah.
He could have made our lives way much easier if He had just removed that. Like, see, my son,
that would fundamentally take away what
free will, and that's fine.
Yes.
If you give me a choice, because I'm a dad, again, I'll go there to my own children.
Yeah.
I know I can see the future if he eats chocolate every day.
Yes.
He can't. All he does is see as far as his nose can reach.
Exactly.
I don't understand some of the ideas around
So
atonement.
This is the idea about, let's use the analogy of chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to enforce that
Mm-hmm.
to your two sons or your
Yes.
son because they're under your roof, okay, and because they're an infant, they have to listen to what you say.
Yes.
But they have free will, yeah, and a time is going to come, where they will start questioning and saying, "But Dad, I like chocolate. I want chocolate. If I cannot have chocolate, then you're not my dad anymore."
Okay.
And you will leave your son to his own devices.
No, I
to
will
say,
not. No, absolutely
because
not.
your son is not going to be under your roof.
Yes, again,
for
remember,
forever.
in this case,
You see, we
this is
progress
God.
from
This is-
childhood.
no.
Yes,
In this
it is
case,
God,
this
and
is God.
I
So
see
we'll
your
always-
analogy there.
He'll always be. There'll always be. I can be 100 years old.
Yeah.
God will always be older than me.
Yes.
He'll be wiser than me.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when we talk about being an adult, it's like when you're saying, okay, your brain is developed and you're doing this,
Mm-hmm.
that's why you're being treated as an adult. In this case, there's never a time when Adam becomes an adult. Because an adult, your brain has to be fully formed, you have to fully see the world, you have to fully understand the consequences of your action. My son, I would have thought that God would have seen Adam the way I see my children.
And he did.
No, he did not. He was very mean.
He was very mean.
He was
No,
very
he did.
mean.
This is what happened. Okay. God gave Adam a multiplicity of choice. Okay. He said, of every tree you can eat. Now, using the fruit, people say the apple. I don't know where that idea comes from. He ate the apple. But let's use fruit as an analogy. They say there are over 2,000 species of fruit. Okay. So he says you can eat from 2,000. But he says this one you cannot touch. Okay. And he says the day you touch it, you will die. Now, tell me any society where people are not given liberality and freedom that comes with laws to say if you're free to do whatever you deem necessary. However, you cannot cross this line, because we are human beings that have been given the innate ability to decide, but some of our choices have consequences. So it's the same case. So to go back and ask, I'm like, but God, you are mean. Why did you create Adam with a choice for him to apply his will against your command?
No,
it becomes a bit. It's
the way I see it.
Yes.
All he had to do was not give that command.
No, all God had to do was not give man a free will. Yeah.
Done.
Because
then all of a sudden everyone's happy.
Yes, but he did. He did because.
So does he make mistakes?
No, he doesn't.
That's a mistake.
To give man a free will?
Yes.
No.
100%.
How is it a mistake?
Look at where we are. Right now, as we speak, because of, if we believe, as you believe, that, as soon as we left the garden, that's when all the troubles started, the sin and hardship, if I may.
Yes.
As we speak right now,
yeah,
there's a genocide happening in Sudan. As we speak right now in Darfur, people are being shot. That is free will. That is a consequence of those choices. Did we really have to? I ask myself, and I ask myself, okay, with free will comes certain benefits, but then I'm seeing a lot more consequences.
Yes.
Why would a loving God wish such a fate on, quote unquote, his children?
Yeah. So he didn't.
He did.
And let me explain. So, let's go back to the analogy of, your son. I know you have a son. You told me about him recently. So you and your wife came together, got married, and through your loving relationship, you had your son. And, your son was born with certain how do they and
Inalienable rights.
rights. Yeah, the English fails me there. Yeah, and but some of those rights, you know, he will begin to exercise them when he's fully formed. That's why for the first formative years of his life, he has to be under your care, your tutelage, your guidance, your discipline, your structure. But a time comes where he is independent to exercise his own thoughts and his own ideas. And you can do the best that you can. In this case, that's what God did. God created an environment for Adam that was bliss, to say the least. Okay? He gave Adam multiple choice that would help him enjoy his environment. And by the way, not just the environment, according to scripture, is that he also had fellowship with him. Okay? The Bible says that he would have conversation with him. So that fellowship was broken, not because God, having known that Adam would mess up.
I mean, he knew.
He did. And that is why, even when Adam messed up, God, in his foreknowledge, was able to say, a time is going to come where I will make this better because I love Adam. So your son grows up. He makes choices that are outside of what you taught him, your discipline, your nurture, your education. He just chooses to go his own way. Your role as a father is to say, you know my heart. I love you with all my heart. And whenever you make the choice to come back, you know, my arms are open. That's what God did through, again, the finished work of
Here's
Christ.
the question. So if I knew that my child would become, let's not even move it. So there's something that I've seen on Twitter where they try to create scenarios, and then there's baby Hitler, right?
I've not seen that.
And they ask someone, you know that this is Hitler, and you know what Hitler will do. Would you kill that baby? And there's some
and what's the argument there?
So some of it is yes, because if you kill that child, you will save the world tens of millions of people, lives could be saved. There's some who say that baby could turn out into something else.
Yes.
But then we all know it's Hitler. Goes back to that thing of what we're saying
of
God yours. God knows. If I know, and I'm God in this case, and I know, not that I think, I know what he's going to actually do. Why go through all that? It seems like a very roundabout way to go through history. And me as Sanny, as someone who's, trying to figure out life.
Yeah.
That's one of the challenges that I have with some of these scriptures. It's like, it doesn't make sense. It's not logical. It doesn't seem like a logical sequence of events. Okay, I've created you with the knowledge that you're going to do everything to cause harm to yourself and the environment and other people. And then, millennia after, I'll bring my son and I'm going to get him killed. And then he's going to save those ones who come after him. But then those people who were before him, I don't know what happens to them. I guess, and this is a question to you, is when you started believing as a teenager, right? So your mom passes away and it makes you see how these people, her church community has really come through for her. Did you how much of questioning of the faith did you start to have then? And when you're sitting and you're watching this, you're like, okay, but what does this mean? Why should I be in this? And have you had times when 20 years down the line, you still question your faith?
I'm a human being who transcends, transitions through moments of doubt. and it's okay to have doubt.
When was the last time you had
Yeah.
doubt?
I mean, I wouldn't, about my faith, I can't point a finger to it, but it happens every so often. You're like, okay, God, you are good. I believe you are good. But what would you speak into a situation like this? And it does not, our doubts once in a while do not in any way take away our faith for those of us who are grounded in faith. So I can have questions concerning what I see going on in our world today, but I don't question God in that sense. I don't know if those two relate. And Jesus had questions, and he was God incarnate in flesh. When he was on that cross, he asked God, God, why have you forsaken me? That was a question. And the way he related with people as he was preaching in his day, he always asked people questions. So there's that place where, the thing about faith is that faith does not suspend reason. It does not kind of switch off the ability to logically think things through. So when I became a Christian, I went on a quest to understand this new faith. Okay. And I've been privileged the last 41 years of being alive, of in a way subscribing to 3 of the major religions in one way, shape, or form, and they all are rooted to what they call the Abrahamic faith: Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. And there are many other faiths that I've read into, not so much, but these major ones I have practiced and read into, and I'm still discovering.
No, there's something that I want to ask, and this might be a mischievous question. Have you ever married people who you kind of knew this is going to be a problem? Because I've been in situations as Sanny. I've seen people come together, and I knew this was going to be a car crash.
Yes.
And I'm looking around, and I'm seeing everyone dancing and happy. And I'm asking myself, do you guys not see what I see? That this guy is maybe dishonest. This girl is coming into this thing for the wrong reason. They don't really understand their roles as husband and wife. They don't come from. There's a lot of trauma. Like in this country, there's and maybe that's something that I think we really need to unpack. Is there's just so much trauma here.
Yeah, there is.
And so I've been in weddings personally of people that I know and love. And I've said, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
And I've even gone so far as to tell relatives, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Obviously, they never listened to me. And lo behold.
Yeah. What was expected happens.
Exactly. Have you ever been in a situation where you're watching this, and they've gone through, the 8-week classes, but you know that there is something that tells you that there's an instinct that tells you things will not go well, and lo behold, things don't go well. And when you know that, do you still marry them?
Yeah. So personally, I've not encountered a situation where I've had to officiate a wedding of somebody with knowledge that.
But
I've encountered quite a number, where because of the knowledge we have about either party's behavior, and I have personally, my conviction is I've always warned the couple to take time and, get to know themselves a bit more, or to deal with a certain behavior. But I've not, and I don't know of any, at least in my context, I don't know of any pastor at CLA who, knowing fully well.
It doesn't even have to be knowing fully well.
Yeah.
Because even me, I did not know fully well.
Yeah.
But again, if you listen to someone long enough, if you observe them, you get an instinct about them.
Yeah. Usually what we tell them is, look, wait, or get some accountability around you and deal with this issue before you make this commitment. But like going back to the free will thing we talked about.
Yes, that's literally what I was
At the
thinking. Like,
end of the day,
it's on them.
It's on them. But I think where my heart breaks, which resonates with you, is the ability to know that and you don't want them. I think for me is wrong. Yeah, to have that instinct, and instinct is not. I don't think it's just instinct. Instinct really fueled by some knowledge that you have in terms of this person's past behavior or the way they act around their friends or just values that are off. And you're like, this little that I've known about you, I really don't know if you will handle this. But the challenge has been, Sanny, is that many people take the view of it's not my place, and they just live and let live. Others have hope that things will change.
Some miracle. It's always the people who have of great faith who believe in some miracle.
Some miracle.
Something will happen. They'll be touched.
Yeah.
Their hearts will be cleansed.
They will change. And it's interesting that many people enter with that naivety that is covered in hope of this person will change. They love me. Yes, they have some areas of weakness. Yes, they have some areas of weakness. They yelled at me while we were on a date. Maybe I say something and he almost slapped me, and you see those nuances of pre-domestic violence, but you're like, and then he apologizes or she apologizes, I'm sorry, I've been stressed lately. I love you. And as human beings, you cover that up and you're like, he will change. Yeah. So for me, there are certain litmus tests that I tell people that you need to look out for before you enter marriage with someone.
I wanted to ask you, because obviously you're there to celebrate this. In Catholics, they call it the sacrament, sacrament of the matrimonial sacrament. Yeah. Then where in the Catholic faith,
sure,
they don't really believe in divorce like that. Like if we've married you, it's not Sanny, it's not Hassan officiating between Sanny and his partner.
Yes,
it's Hassan in the place of God. Yep. So it's everything is God, and therefore what God has put together,
let no one separate. Yeah.
Is that this is and that's what I know within the Catholic faith. I have seen in
it's the same in the Protestant
but what
faith.
I've seen is in the whether it's even Christian Life Assembly. I have seen people move on from marriage 1, go into marriage 2, and still be married in the church. How do you make sense of that?
Yeah. So Christian Life Assembly, where I serve, is our policy is very clear. We don't remarry people.
Ever?
No, we don't. Yeah.
So what do you do?
We don't remarry people. But if somebody is separated or divorced, they're still part of the assembly. We do not, somebody walking out of a marriage is not an indictment.
It's pretty much what you're saying.
No. It's to officiate them to enter another union as that's not our policy. It's not a church policy, so we don't do that. Yeah, but people getting remarried is part of culture, though, it's the reverence of the union should suggest that this should be a lifelong commitment. The other school of thought, by the way, that has been very and for me, I'm on the edge on that one, is if somebody had to separate and divorce their partner for, the legally
violence.
Accepted reasons. Yeah, I mean, domestic violence, and there's been efforts to reconcile, but, reconciliation. The question is, and they have to divorce, should they remarry or not remarry? The jury is still out there. Even theologically, we are still...
So where do you stand?
So, personally...
someone has, not because of their own volition, this person is about to kill me. Right? They've beaten me the first time.
Yes.
Where we went for counseling.
Yes.
Beating you the second time, the third time, maybe this time they've knocked me unconscious. I'm in a coma. I have to save my life. And to be able to move on, I need to get the tools to be able to.
Yeah. Where I stand is move on. Move on.
But-
Don't.
But then you're also saying that if I meet someone who is going to bring pleasure in my life,
Yes.
I cannot, you as a pastor at CLA cannot marry me.
Yes. Because I serve under a church that has guidelines and policies.
Who
Now,
made
not,
those?
not rem-
Who made those rules?
it's the structure of the church where I serve. It's the policies that have been created. Again, but most of it is really informed by what the Bible endorses. It says when you divorce, divorce for adultery mostly, but also it does not condone, domestic violence or abuse or neglect and all that. But the Bible says that once you divorce, you stay single. That's the recommendation of the Bible. But it has, many people have taken a different view in the church space, and they are remarrying people, again, given the reason of why you had to break up with the first one in the first place. So it is something that is happening out there.
So you say leave to save your life, but find another church to get married in. Okay.
No.
That's pretty much what you're saying.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that based on the recommendation of the Bible, Christian Life Assembly, where I serve,
So it's better you be single.
It's better you be single because
forever. Okay.
It's not forever, because marriage is only for
as long as the other person is alive.
No. Marriage is for this realm. Where we're going forever, there won't be marriage. Yeah. But it's one of those very, very difficult, even for church leaders or, it's a very, very difficult issue really to navigate, because it's I mean, as divorce increases and the reasons for divorce increase. Now, there are certain reasons for divorce really where you're like, you can separate for a while, get counsel, and reconcile. If both of you are willing to reconcile, that is always the first recommendation. Even as church as church leaders, we give. We're like, okay, even for the case of, for example, infidelity, we recommend and say, if somebody has cheated on you, you found them with somebody else, and they confess their fault and they turn around and they're willing to change, find it in your heart to forgive them and try and reconcile if it is possible. But if it is not possible, you can separate, because the rift that happens out of infidelity is just sometimes too deep to sew together. It's really deep.
Have you had to walk with people through a divorce?
To walk with people,
to walk with them, so to walk with a church member while they're going through that process, and
yes,
as their pastor, who also fundamentally does not believe in divorce, within in your theology, you don't really believe in divorce.
No, it's
pretty much, right?
No.
As a good thing.
So the separation, divorce inherently causes the effects of divorce, whether it's merited to happen or not, are always devastating, especially where children are involved. So we discourage it. It's not that we don't believe in it. There's no law that divorce should not happen. It's not biblical. Biblically, Jesus himself said that, do not divorce except for adultery. So he does allow divorce. God does allow divorce.
Except for the adultery.
He says for adultery.
Yeah.
That's what Christ said. So, but for other reasons as well, which are really acceptable. So what the Bible says is that God hates it, not the act of separation. That's not what he hates. He hates the after effect of it and how it leaves people traumatized and broken, children disoriented. It just causes a huge rift, because it's never a good idea. But it has to happen sometimes, given the circumstance.
So
so we do walk with people.
And what are you telling them?
So number one, our first recommendation is there a way where through counsel, through therapy, this marriage can be, redeemed? That is our view first. And if they've come to a place where, irreconcilable differences or the pain was too deep, um, we we put our hands up, raise our hands and say,
So
yeah,
let's stop talking about it
yes,
in
in
theoretical ways.
yes,
Okay. So if you've walked with someone through that
yes.
process, what does that actually look like? What are you doing as Hassan?
Number one is, so I've had meetings with couples that have been through a seriously troubled marriage. And for me, where I always um, celebrate them is that they willingly come to us and say, help, or at least one party comes. And many times it's the lady. Ladies always have just an innate grace to want things to work, even for the worst of circumstances that have led to the separation. And I've sat with them, and again, you read the temperature between what has caused this rift, and you try and walk them towards, redemption and forgiveness, and you have to give them room to make that choice, And I've been privileged to have a couple of them reconcile.
Yeah, you've saved the marriage.
I think their marriage is saved because of the choice both of them do, but we guide them through it. But there have been many that have not worked. Yeah. So,
when we think about love as an emotion, as a feeling, it almost seems sacred. It's as they say, for God so loved the world that He gave. That love it's.
yes.
Some would say that love is of God.
Yeah.
But in a world where neuroscience can map attraction and algorithms sometimes can predict compatibility even better than a pastor who talks to God, which is what you do. Can we still say that love is sacred?
Wow. So the essence of love is love is sacred, and to use your words, love is of God. It's the very nature who God is. And when He created us, He put that kind of DNA in us. We are emotional beings in need of love, and we have the ability to love. With neuroscience and technology and algorithms and all these
Because then an
facilitations, being able to facilitate
almost
compatibility.
Yes, much better than even people talking. This machine will look at Hassan and break him down, and then it will say, Hassan works well with this person.
But that's matchmaking, though. That is, the criteria is very, you answer, what's it called, a questionnaire, and it's able to, filter things through. It might be able to match you with somebody that you feel attracted to or you feel compatible with, but that is not the building block of a lasting marriage. Ultimately, values, behavior, certain attributes like patience, because all of us, when you met your wife, you were attracted to her because of certain things that made you tingle. But with the passage of time, that attraction, for me, I don't even call it love. It's just emotions that are facilitated by certain chemicals moving in and through our body. But love ultimately becomes a will and a behavior that the other person sees and says, you know what? Sanny is your wife, for example, would say, Sanny is my do or die because he has consistently behaved in a way that is committed to me. And for me, that is love. Love is that ability to behave a certain way towards your spouse that, again, it brokers trust and it anchors trust, where somebody doesn't have to second guess whether they have you, but you have other people. So, yeah, technology and neuroscience, I feel, it can get you through the door, but it will not sustain you through marriage.
There's a book I have at home. It's called Homo Deus.
Homo Deus.
Yes. Homo as in man,
Yeah, man
and then
and
God.
Yeah.
So so it's written by Yuval Noah Harari. And he writes in that book that humanity's next project is to upgrade ourselves into gods. Now, when you hear that thesis, as a believer,
Yeah.
what goes on through your head?
Humanity's next project is to become gods.
Is to upgrade ourselves
upgrade.
into gods.
Yeah, I would say Haval, you said, the author.
Yuval
Yuval.
Noah Harari.
I think he's just giving new language to an idea that has always existed. Because man has always wanted to be like God, to be God. But it is a nature that God put in us. You know, the intellect that he gave us, just the creative ability, the pursuit of greater things, you know, it has always upgraded men and women in every civilization to want to be like God. So I don't think it's a next project. It's a project that has been. It's just that with every civilization, it's you know, it upgrades with whatever the technology of the age is. Yeah.
You know, as a pastor, you meet people and counsel them and try to help them make sense of their lives. But there's only one you. And, you know, there's only so many hours in a day. So what we're seeing is, you know, and what I think we're going to see as we move on further is AI doing some of the work that you do, some of the pastoral work that you do.
Yeah, it already is doing
right?
it, actually.
So, I mean, AI can write today, ChatGPT can write a sermon. It can literally counsel people. And it can analyze scripture and make sense of what used to take you years to understand.
Yes.
Microseconds. Now, do you ever see artificial intelligence ever outperforming human spirituality?
Outperforming human spirituality?
Because it's doing everything that you do.
Yes, but it's inanimate in the sense that it is the working of technology that allows, through, you know, the collection of data, for technology to predict human behavior and to use the data available. Outperforming human spirituality, that's going to be difficult. I don't know how that would play out, because
super intelligence.
See, AI is the work of man. You know, it's the work of our own intelligence, and men have been able to create, you know, sophistication with these machines that, in aiding us, in supporting us to do life well, easier, efficiently, better, they are doing a very good job. And, you know, we were talking about, you know, the economics of this world. They are putting many people out of a job, but I don't think they can replace spirituality, because spirituality is who you are in essence as a human being. And I don't know if a machine can replace that. Now, a machine can help you interact with God better through exactly the same examples that you've given, through research and study and understanding. But I don't know if it can replace spirituality. That's quite an interesting concept.
Now,
but when it comes to, you've called it super intelligence.
Yes.
So it's like machines transcending human intelligence and thinking,
coming to another next level.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the holy grail. So right now we have large language models, right? ChatGPT, DeepSeek. They don't think for themselves.
Yeah.
But now there's a huge push to actually create a thinking thing.
Yeah.
Computer. Yeah. Program. Now, that's where I think things then get a bit dicey.
I hear you. Yeah.
Because then there's that super intelligence, right? Which is, it kind of falls into the question I was going to ask you, right? So God made man in his image.
Yes.
And that's because we are creation, we see God and we call him God because he made us.
Yeah.
Now, when we eventually create super intelligence, then do we become God?
So when you read through history and see behaviors of men over different civilizations, there are two consistent things about mankind that I have noticed, is that mankind has wanted to be like God or to be God. Number two is mankind has wanted to live forever. Okay, so with this advancement in technology, where we've altered and worked with different resources to create like super intelligent computers, it's the goal is still the same: is to say, how can we create a thing that can help us transcend our own limitations to be like God? That's an innate desire, and it does not. It's actually very biblical, because we are God's small g, in the sense that the Bible says that, in the sense that we are created in his image. That means we have the essence of God. We are emotional, but also after his kindness, after his likeness. That means we have the creative ability. We're able to take what God created and left in its raw form and add value to it. So that super intelligence that man has portrayed over time really tethers back to the fact that they have a creative correlation to their creator, because he created us to create. So, but when the created thing becomes what we worship, which is what men have done over time, then it becomes a problem innately when we ascribe our spirituality. So, because I was, if you would indulge me here, I was just sharing with a few people a scripture I read in Isaiah, and it's kind of like God was just trying to say, but how do you people think? So he was talking about people who plant trees, and because of his providence, he gives rain and the trees grow up. And then man cuts down the tree, and he uses half of the tree to cook food so that he's nourished. He uses it to warm himself from the cold. Then he takes the other half and carves out an image and puts it on a table, and then bows down to it and says, "Oh my God, deliver me." And again, we read a very historical book where the sophistication of the day was, a log that you carve out, and then he says you spend all your strength and your artistry to create something that is a work of your own hands, and then you worship it. It's the same thing that is happening today, or will happen in the future, where we'll create this thing that will amaze us so much that will become our God, or will become God, and people will worship that thing. There's nothing new under the sun. It's just from rudimentary to more sophistication.
I guess in that same book, Homo Deus, he talks about there'll come a time when there's no death, where technology will allow us. He literally says that there'll be death on only two circumstances. You'll die from an accident or from war. But then that technology will eventually cure cancer, will cure aging with nanotechnology. You'll be able to get nanoids to enter your cells at a cellular level.
Wow.
And repair their cells.
Because
that's what aging is, right? It's your cells getting older and not being able to be replaced. Now imagine if the cells can be repaired, if the DNA can be fixed, then all of a sudden we don't die. And if faith, because most faiths, they work because when you die, then you meet God. Right? It's literally that. It's you're going to believe, die, then go and get to the judgment day, and then there's God. And then if you've lived a good life, you'll go to heaven. If you haven't, you'll go somewhere else.
And that's what keeps us believing now. And when the issue of death is taken out of the picture,
death is gone,
Yeah,
where does
that's
it
interesting.
leave belief?
Mm. Mm. That's an interesting book. I'd love to read that book just to.
I'll lend it to you. I have it
Yeah,
at home.
it's an interesting book. Again, I will come back to what I told you: is man has always wanted to live forever. In fact,
But then what happens when he does?
yes, what happens when it does? My belief and conviction right now, with the evidence that I know, and what I've read, is that the Bible says there there's a time for man wants to die, as in that end comes.
That
Now,
somehow we'll live for 1,000 years and just get bored with life and say, I just want to die.
yes, it has been marked for a man to die. Okay. Now, men used to live for 1,000 years, not because of technology then.
I mean,
Yeah,
let's pretend that, okay, but you know what? You believe in it.
yeah, because it's so this is the thing, Sanny. Everyone bets their life on something. The guy who's writing in that book and the people working that technology, they're betting their life on the idea that they can immortalize man, and they're working towards it. I'm betting my life on what the Bible says to be true because it informs my worldview. Now, to many people, that will be a narrow-minded way of looking at things, and it's okay to be narrow-minded. It's subjective. So, because man has wanted to live forever, and it's almost like the inheritance of man to live forever, because in every man's heart, eternity has been placed. There's just something in there where you just don't want to die because you don't know what will happen on the other side. So God has placed eternity in the heart of man. Yeah. How we want to arrive at eternity again, that's it's the reason why you've brought this point of the conversation. But based on the evidence that is available right now, is that man is in diminishing returns. Okay. And they might not die from aging, but something else will cause their death. I thought you said accident or
Literally, they say that
that's
if you can, because he was talking about like the entire and how technology will change everything. So look at Rwanda right now. We are seeing our life expectancies rise
yes,
because of better medication.
yes,
People are getting immunized.
yes.
There's no longer a genocide happening in our streets. So all of a sudden, where in 1994, maybe our life expectancy was at
About 40.
about
something,
40.
Yeah.
Now it's about
Almost
67, or close to
Almost
70.
70. Yeah.
And that's just Rwanda. Now, what's killing, say, young men right now is especially so lifestyle diseases,
Yes.
but also accidents.
Yeah.
Right? Motors, bicycles. I had someone.
Or sometimes things that come out of
like,
their own choices.
yes.
Yeah.
So now imagine, so you now throw in automation, automated cars that remove the choice of driving.
That reduce the chances of accidents.
Right? So all of a sudden, our cars are speaking to each other as they move.
Yes.
They never get tired. It's a system.
Yeah. By the way, I encountered that just a few months ago.
In where?
I was in Arizona, and there were driverless taxis, and they were carrying people. It's still being tested out. So there was this particular situation where a cab was summoned. It's like automatic Uber. It came to a club. This guy enters in and he's drunk. So he enters the car. He had already queued in his destination, but the guy falls asleep. So the car reaches his destination, and he couldn't get out because he was just out. So the car dialed 911, and the police guy came. He walked the guy out and walked him to his apartment. So that's a reality.
And yet, it may be 40.
The alternative was
40 years
if he
ago.
had driven.
Or 40 years ago, he might have tried to drunk drive.
Yes, exactly.
And kill himself.
Exactly.
And kill other people.
Yeah. So that example you've given, I've
now
witnessed it's happening. It's been
now
tested.
we're seeing cancers and some of these diseases. They're using stem cells.
Yeah.
Right? To figure out how do we repair
the human body
at a cellular level.
so that it can be immortal.
So that it can first fix disease. Let's
Yes.
say, so you have
Yeah.
maybe an issue with your lungs.
Yes.
So how can we fix lung tissue?
Sure.
So that's happening right now. And then
Mm.
at the same time, we're also trying to create super intelligence. Now,
Mm.
if you throw in super intelligence,
Mhm.
now you also throw in technological
Yeah.
and medical change, there will come a time where it will be really hard to die.
Yeah.
Literally.
Mhm.
You know, the things that killed us.
Will no longer kill us. Yeah.
And I mean, I had a discussion with someone and I said, you know what? If I reach 80, I will not have a problem
Checking out. Mhm.
Because I was talking to someone, an elderly gentleman, and I said, you know, when I reach 80, I'll have no problem checking out. You know, I'll have seen my grandkids, hopefully. And that's okay.
Lived a
He
full
says,
life.
yeah, I've lived a full life. But then he said, but why?
Uh-huh.
Why don't you want to see your great grandkids?
Mm.
Oh.
So all of a sudden,
And I'm like,
the
you know,
conversation changes. Wouldn't be a bad idea to see my great grandchildren.
It would. Especially if I'm not suffering, I guess, because a lot of people, we also want to die because we're suffering.
Yes.
Right? Because we're the promise is that you're going to paradise. Right? But what happens when capitalism, superintelligence, robotics, all these things that create the world that we want, right? So a world of plenty.
Yeah.
Then on the other side, it creates a world that things are amazing, and you just don't. I might
want to die. So I hear you loud and clear. I mean, the hypothesis, if death was taken out of the picture, which fuels people's faith to believe, because after, I mean, the box, you put me in the ground, what happens in the next life? I believe with man's advancement and the ability to reduce mortality, it does not take away the God question or the faith question. So it's one of those things where we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Do you think we're hardwired for God? Where there's something in us?
Yes.
And so the people who are atheists, are they retarded mentally at some level?
Wow, that's a strong.
No, I'm just saying, because if you say we're hardwired,
that
means if I don't believe in God,
we are hardwired for God, but
in our minds,
in our minds, in our soul, so to speak. But our approach to that is different for different people. I've read books of so many atheists. Many atheists actually are not atheists. They are just anti-theists. A theist is somebody that believes in God. Many people that call themselves atheists are actually not, because after they call themselves atheists, they work so hard to disprove something that they believe does not exist. And that is why, in a way, it is like a form of insanity. If I don't believe that something exists, why would I then want to prove its inexistence? So with the act of trying to prove its inexistence, what they're saying inadvertently is not, I don't believe that God exists, but I don't like the idea of God existing and all these other things that are happening to us happen. So it's a very, very interesting dynamic there. Yeah, but if I don't believe something exists, I don't dwell on it, I don't think about it. But many people that we, learn the atheist view from, the God Delusion, the very first book you mentioned by Richard Dawkins. I mean, he spent his life disproving the existence of God.
I mean, you guys also spend your lives proving the existence of God. I'd like to move on.
And that's something to aspire to, because he does exist according to us.
So, Christianity in the majority of the African continent was part and parcel of what I call a colonial project.
Yes.
Like, for example, Belgian colonialists in partnership with the Catholic Church and missionaries in Rwanda used the excuse of Mwami King Musinga's, Yuhi Musinga's refusal to convert to Christianity to exile him into the then Belgian Congo. So they weaponize.
Yes, they weaponize.
They
yes,
weaponize Christianity.
Yes.
Now, can we, as modern Rwandans, like looking into our past and seeing how Christianity was used to destroy the Rwandan nation as we knew it then?
Yes.
Can we, as Rwandans living today, fully emancipate ourselves from colonial domination, neocolonialism, white supremacy, and everything that goes around those three things,
Sure.
when we still pray to the colonial god?
Yeah. So the God of the Bible,
The god of the colonials.
that's the the God of the Bible became quote unquote a colonial god because the people that had the colonial project, it was very convenient for them to come in with the book and then come in with the sword. It was part of their
strategy.
But that does not make God colonial, in the sense that the values of Christianity, what Christ taught in essence, is very, very different than what man has used religion for, the Christian religion for. And it predates even, the colonial, era, where in many countries, Christianity was weaponized to colonize people and to abuse people. Go as far back as, slavery. And so Christianity has always been used, unfortunately, by ill-meaning people to subjugate, to even kill. Have a very own context in Rwanda, the genocide against the Tutsi. Many, many thousands of people were killed in a place they were called to seek refuge in. But that is innately the challenge with the heart of man. When the heart of man is innately evil, they will use anything. They will use God. They will use Christianity. They will use anything that seems good to just fulfill their agenda. But that was not the way of Christ. It's not what the Bible teaches. Jesus, on the contrary, because Christianity is basically to be a follower of Christ. What did Jesus teach? And this is what makes Christianity very exclusive from all other faiths, about 4,000 of them, is that Jesus, who represented God in every form, came and served humanity. He never took away, he added value. And that is what he recommended us to do. He gave us an ethos, and the ethos was love. Love even your enemies. So his teachings and the practice of men over the years have been contrary. So I think it becomes unfair to discard Christ and his teachings, which forms Christianity in essence, because of what men did. For me, how I emancipate myself from colonialism.
How do you become a proud Rwandan man?
Yes.
With Rwandan values.
Yes.
And still, and then be a Rwandan Christian.
Yes. In essence, Christianity does not divorce us from our culture and our values. If anything, it enhances our culture, because let me explain it this way. Is again, according to the Bible, it says, God created human beings. He placed them in nations and cultures that they would dwell, and within the practices of their cultures and systems of being, is that they will uniquely worship God in who they are. When you look at how God is worshipped, it's as diverse as the cultures where people have met God. So there's the amazing drum, there's the gusirimba, there's the formation of hand claps, there's singing songs in. So all that enhances our relationship with God, but does not take away from. It shouldn't take away from who we are, essentially.
I think, in my experience with a lot of rooted churches,
Yes.
the churches that I've been in yours, I've been in a few others. They still fundamentally feel like a colonial relic. Mm-hmm. The songs are not yours. the hymns are not yours. When I look at, say, Ethiopia, where they were able to create Christianity in their own image.
Yes.
Their saints are black.
They've preserved it in their culture, the
Yeah,
Orthodox
yes,
Christians.
the saints are black.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the angels are black. God looks like them.
Mm.
If you go to the majority of our churches here, Catholic, Protestant, the angels don't look like us.
But it's the angels as has been presented
but then
by
again, as presented by who?
yes, by the same
Yes, that's
colonialists
what
that
I'm
you're
saying.
saying.
So when I say that,
Yeah.
sometimes I feel that we haven't emancipated ourselves
Mm.
from that colonial thinking,
Mm-hmm.
that colonial religion, because you've tried to, I think, separate Christianity as a belief
Yes.
and colonialism as a system.
Mm.
I still see a melding of the two
Yeah.
within our churches here.
Mm. I think it's a melding of the two within our culture predominantly. Yeah. You and I are here having a fruitful conversation using the colonial language. It's because it's how we've been raised, and because it's how we are raised, and I mean, our education system, name it, our form of government, name it. So, culture in general is hardwired through the colonial system.
But I
And
can
so you find that even religion, the practice of religion today is also it aligns to
but then
yeah,
I can
because right now
but
just
I can argue
yes,
that yes, we're speaking in English,
yes,
but I can also agree
mm,
that that is something that I should want to change.
mm,
That I also understand that my lack of fluency in my mother tongue
yes,
is something that not I should not it's not I'm embarrassed about it, but it's not
yes,
something that if I had a choice, if I had the means to be able to change that, I would.
yes. And I agree 100%.
I'm
And I think
saying
God does agree with that idea.
yes. What
Yeah,
I'm saying
yeah,
is it's been 60 close to 60 years or so of independence.
sure.
Of I'm waiting, I'm still waiting for our church
Mm,
to become us.
yeah.
And I'm wondering, when do you see that? Can you, and maybe that's one of the reasons that I am not as attracted
To
because I don't see myself.
yeah. I think in you holding back
Hmm.
because of how Christianity has evolved through the good and bad stewardship of it over the ages, it would be a bit unfair because as a learned intellectual person, you have the ability to go back to the roots and say, how was this meant to be? So the advice that Christ gave before he left is that meet together, break bread, have fellowship. Okay. The South Koreans can do it their way. The Rwandans breaking bread can do it their way. But again, we are all we suffer the after effects of colonialism. It has entrenched the way we worship. It has entrenched the way we speak, the way we do life. I mean, many churches you will say sing colonial songs, but they're not colonial songs. They are songs that are crafted. The lyrics are crafted in the English language. The English language pre-existed colonialism. But I understand the mental dynamic where because those systems were used to subjugate us. Wanting to decolonize ourselves from it is an ideal that, in one way, I ascribe to because there's so many things that came to us as a result of colonialism that have hurt us rather than brought us together. So I don't think Christianity is one of those. It was weaponized, but in essence, it's a good.
So
it's a good thing. It's a good way to follow.
yeah. You work with men,
Yes.
and you're working with men who often hide behind their titles,
Mm-hmm.
their success, their work. I'm a man because look at me, I'm successful. I run a business. I have money. Look at my car.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you get a chance to see and hear from men when they are vulnerable.
Mm.
Because when they're sitting and talking to you, the car is not important.
Yeah.
It's how they feel. They're trying to talk to you and seek your assistance and help
Yeah.
to help them understand maybe not the financials, but maybe what's happening inside them.
Mm.
So in the times that you've spent counseling men, talking to men, what have you learned about just how emotionally lonely
Mhm.
men are?
Mm. Wow. Sanny, first of all, I've lived in this body for 41 years
Mm,
as a man myself, but also who, through my different years of growing up, I went through incredible abuse from people that were supposed to take care of me. And I suffered, the trauma, all those things that really affect us to the core: low self-worth, low self-esteem. And at a certain point in my growing up, I felt the only way that I could break myself free from all these things that I was feeling was to work hard and prove, to those people wrong, so to speak. But then, you climb that ladder, and then you realize that the ladder is leaning on the wrong wall, because, there's something called the depravity of man, where without the right kind of help and support system, you know, no matter how much success you chase, there's a void in there that is always yearning for help, especially if you grew up in an abusive background, if you were traumatized in your
which
childhood.
is almost, I think I did
It's
a
it's it's a it's a national for
no
Rwandans.
yeah, so I did
We
a, I did
suffer.
I did a conversation with a psychotherapist,
Yes.
and he literally said about 4 in 10
Yeah.
are depressed.
Absolutely.
And that's Rwandans, and I'm pretty sure in men it might even be more.
Yes. Because in our case, our unique case, I mean, we're talking about how unique Rwanda is
Mm,
in so many ways. In our unique case, that the trauma we carry is national trauma, either primary trauma or secondary trauma. But for men particularly, is I have found that number one is we have not been resourced to to verbalize and vent our pain. For many of us, we live in quiet desperation,
mm,
and we seem to find solace in the things that our hands can do
mm,
or in what our mind can achieve. But at the core is every man is screaming for help. And I have deduced it to this: every man is screaming for God.
mm,
Yeah. Especially when it gets to that place of total depravity. Yeah, I mean, it's depression in men, anxiety in men, and all these things.
what I
Men seem to deal with them much more differently and
mm,
more. It's more difficult for men to process them because men are naturally internalizers.
mm,
Number one is you don't want our shame out there. Women, generally speaking, not all women, women generally speaking, they will pour out their pain and heart, good and bad, to either a friend or even a stranger they meet in a salon, and that leaves them lighter. That is why they outlive us on average 15 years,
mm,
according to science. So for men, number one is that's why they say men should stand. When I'm it's very difficult for me to talk about my problems when it's face to face.
mm,
It's just this posture is a bit,
mm,
it scares men. Men talk shoulder to shoulder. Shoulder to shoulder is just a posture to say, you know, I am willing to share with you my vulnerabilities and pain to the extent that you're
mm,
willing to do the same.
mm,
So that's where now the challenge is, because so for me, I've been privileged to serve the men in CLA. I'm the men's pastor, but I always lead with my own vulnerabilities, my own weaknesses, because that's how men open up. And that's where they open the door of trust, where they're like, okay, if this guy can share some
mm,
of the challenges he's going through, maybe he can steward mine.
mm.
And of course, with my training and counseling training and experience, I'm able to support them where I can. Yep.
Why
But
what
manhood is a difficult thing to do.
mm.
Yeah.
No, I it's a conversation that I think needs to be had.
Sure.
What exactly? maybe you can go into some of the details
Sure.
because you sit down with them. Okay. So what is the leading cause of, in your experience, men's depression, men's unhappiness with life? Is it money? Are you, where does money rank?
Yeah.
Is it family?
Yeah. I wouldn't know how to
Mm.
put them in order because it's different for different men. Money most certainly ranks up there,
Mm.
but I have found for many men, if you put our traumas aside, it's unmet expectations.
Mm.
Yeah, their expectations, their mental notes that we've given ourselves, their goals that we've set, and many of us really put in the hard work. And the hard work you've put in, plus all the things that you've tried to do, if your expectations are not met when you expected them to be met, usually men tend to succumb to that the effects of that failure, so to speak. We don't deal with failure well. That is why, and then the other thing is, once those things happen and you isolate yourself, it even becomes worse because men have tended to pull through such uh, downers of life when they have a support system. So that's why I always encourage a man, find somebody with whom you share your values and convictions, and journey with that man. Um, we're not very good at making many friends. It's not realistic to have many lifelong friends who are your ride or die. But I encourage one or two if you can, if it is possible. In my own case, I've been through quite a bit in my life, but in the last maybe 14 years, I have found these men who are humble men. They're trying their best, and we've walked a journey. And our journey is just really to share our nakedness, so to speak, in the sense that I am deeply, totally vulnerable with you when I'm down, so that you can help me. And hoping that I can do the same for you when you have your moments when you're down. I always encourage that form of peer accountability because it's what helps men to pull through. But it's very difficult to nurture.
And yes, because you've literally said that, one, men are not trusting.
Yeah, not easily trusting. Yeah.
So then, how do I how do I open my chest to you if I don't trust you?
Yeah. Men will easily open their chest because they're opening their chest to show you their wounds and scars. If you open yours as well, that seems to be how men operate. Is that
someone has to do it first?
The sense that I could do it first, but I expect that if this thing is going to work, is for you to share your weaknesses as well. So men tend to become vulnerable, and it's in a place of vulnerability where true healing and restoration can happen, and redemption from all those things that hit us from every side. Yeah. So finding such people, they're hard to find because we are all at it. We are in this life trying to hustle and make ends for ourselves, our families, and few men make time for those conversations with others. Yeah, but it just seems, in my own experience, it's what helps men is when a man finds another man, stand shoulder to shoulder, and they're able to pull each other out of the rubble, so to speak.
Now, among the things that we're also dealing with is, and I'm seeing it, maybe it's because of media or instances of people on purpose taking their own lives.
Yes.
Now you're seeing it with young men.
Yeah.
Right? They are becoming, they're seeing the world,
Yeah.
and they're not seeing their place in that world. So what let's say there's a young man, young woman who's watching this.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily Christian. So
Yeah.
they're not able to maybe tap into the tools that
Sure.
that you have. What do you tell someone who's losing faith, and not just losing faith in God,
Yeah.
but in life itself?
Yeah. So I've encountered many who've been in that place, and one thing I always tell them right off the bat is just talk to someone. Don't be isolated. Talk to someone if you can. Find somebody, share your story, your pain. I have found that people that go through with suicidal acts have been pushed to a corner, and they feel like there's an element of trust. They can't trust anyone, or no one hears them. But there are people who have gone through what you've gone through, and they've found help, and that help is available for you as well. So, I mean, I remember when I was a teenager myself, because of, again, things crashing in on me, there are many times I thought of it. There are about 2 times that I attempted to go through with it. But I had this friend in school called Timothy, who, every time I would talk to, and he had a drawing to me. I would share my burdens to him, and he would just journey with me. And somehow I was able to go through that season. For me, how it worked is that I just talked about my pain. Yeah. So the wish for us is, I hope many platforms can be available. I know that there's even, I think there's a suicide number that the police has, Suicide Watch, where you can be helped. I hope we can, just come alongside young men, because when man comes to the end of themselves, it takes somebody else who has probably been through something similar to give them another point of view, and so that hope can be rebirthed again in the heart of that person, so that they can believe that they can live tomorrow. So that's what helping people through their dark times does. But again, there has to be a step that you, who is going through this deep pain, you find help, if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my last question to you. You've
Yes,
given
sir.
me plenty of time. Now, you've spent your 20 plus years, helping people find meaning through faith. But let's flip the script. If tomorrow you discover there was no God, what would still give your life meaning?
If I discovered there was no God,
Yes.
family, humanity, the fact that humans are capable of pulling themselves by their bootstraps out of the worst of situations if they had each other. But also, if I found out that there was no God, really the life that I've lived right now would be worth living, because I have tried the best of my ability to serve people, and people have served me. So it's this reciprocal thing. I have seen, for me, the miracle of my life is this nation, Rwanda. When I first came here in 2007, and I saw how Rwandans were able to pull themselves out of the genocide of our century, and still hope again, and still unite and forgive each other again, it restored my belief in humanity. So I would still be happy and fulfilled, in this life that I'm, even if God was not there. Yeah.
Hassan, this was fun. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having
me.
me, Sanny.
Did you have a good experience?
I did.
Yeah?
I did have. Yeah. Just
you're a bit nervous.
Again, as a fan, being in the hot seat, I've just loved this. Thank you for the opportunity.
And I chose to, I liked, we have different conversations as a society, and
Sure.
and this platform is to kind of give space for those conversations. And I think that the faith conversation is also important to have.
Yeah.
And I think, and I hope that for my listeners, they're not overly shocked that this is the path I'm going. But I think faith, culture, technology, futuristic thinking. So those are the things that I'm really interested in.
Sure.
And you by you being here, you've kind of helped me maybe not change my mind,
Yeah.
but to maybe widen the scope of my thinking.
Sure.
So, and that was super helpful.
Thank you for allowing for this platform to have, because you steward such an amazing platform through your podcast. So to allow for Faith to be part of this conversation, I know that more conversations in this regard will happen. Maybe it can help us understand each other, especially with your listeners.
Yeah.
So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.